Hello and welcome to a special edition of the For the Love of Creatives podcast. Today, I am your For the Love of Creatives host, Dwight, joined by our other wonderful host, Maddox. And this is going to be a coaching conversation with Sabrina. Hello, Sabrina.
Hi there. Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Well,
Good to see you, Sabrina.
we're really glad that you're here. So I know that we have known each other through Creative Mornings.
hmm
And you're always such a wonderful presence there. And we were surprised and delighted when you said, pick me for this kind of a show.
You're the first one to step up and be brave and
Oh,
do,
wow.
coaching like in front of an audience. So hats off to you. A very,
Oh,
Yes.
very
wow.
brave thing to do.
I know that's very sweet. Do I get a sticker?
You get gold stars.
Where is the sticker? We got a sticker laying around here somewhere with your name on it.
I'll do anything
Absolutely.
for a sticker.
So we want to make sure that this is something that is comfortable and feels like it's a safe space. So bearing in mind that this is going to be something that our audience can listen to, it's open, it's on the internet.
hmm
Just be mindful of that with what you share, but otherwise, we want you to be as open and comfortable. And if there's something that seems like it's uh, goes in a direction that you don't want to go, you're in the driver's seat. We want you to feel comfortable throughout this.
While we push you out of your comfort zone.
I mean, I mean, should we have a safe word?
We keep it very, very plain. Just let us know you don't want to go
Okay.
there.
Just
And
say not a conversation I want to have right now.
of course, I'm pretty much of an open book, but I'll keep that in mind.
Okay. So with all that said, what is it that you would like to bring into this session today?
I think that overall, what really caught my attention when you guys were looking for people to be creatively coached live
Mhm.
is that I've been feeling for a couple of years sort of a feeling of stagnation with my career. I'm a graphic designer,
Mhm.
and even though I enjoy designing, I feel like something inside of me is saying to go in a different direction. However, I feel pulled in different directions. I've always been kind of a person that is always kind of like, I need to have my life figured out. I need to know my purpose. I need to, if I'm going to go one direction, I need to know 100%. And I feel that a lot of time has passed just kind of saying, I'll figure it out later until it's perfect, until it's clear. And it's a combination of that and a combination of just feeling pulled in different directions and not knowing where to start. So
Uh,
overall, kind of not only is a career kind of change, but more of a personal projects direction. Kind of feel a little lost.
yeah. And I'm hearing a lot of different things there. Just sort of the weight of having a career that is predictable. It may have its challenges, but it's just something that has not. It's not giving you all of the things that you need to feel energized and motivated and looking forward to what comes next. And I'm also hearing kind of a draw to find something that kind of pulls that spark.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. And I feel that what I'm doing is okay right now, but I feel like there's just something out there.
Gotcha. Well, and I would be remiss if I did not point out that you also hinted at the fact that there were a lot of things that were possibilities. Like you have a lot of potential projects that you might pursue, but you're just not in a place where you feel comfortable about pulling a trigger on any one because it sounds like you're also kind of held back by the fact that you need to have a plan, you need to have a map for everything that you need your life well orchestrated in order to proceed.
Yeah, no, exactly. I feel like that scene in Alice in Wonderland where there's like a little crossroads and there's like 20 different arrows and she's like, where should I go? And I don't feel like comfortable enough. And I know that nothing will be 100% clear and 100% sure,
Mhm.
but I don't feel um, I need a map. I feel like I need some sort of compass at least.
Yeah.
So,
I,
Sabrina, sometimes we get these ideas about things we might do, and we feel like we have to choose one, and then we have to go all in. And I want to just throw out there that there are other options. Instead of thinking of this like a marriage, where you're going to make a lifelong commitment, think of this as about more like potentially buying a new pair of shoes.
Mhm.
You go into the shoe store and you sit down, you pick out some things that you're drawn to, and you sit down and you try them on one by one to see how they feel on your feet, to see how they look on your feet, to see how comfortable or able to walk in them are, because some shoes are completely impossible to walk in. And you wouldn't make a decision and buy a pair of shoes unless it had a great return policy without trying them on. And what if it's more like that and less like, oh, I've got to pick, a new gig and then I've got to commit to it like a marriage? Have you considered just exploring and trying very different things until something just lights you up?
I really like that metaphor that you used about the shoes. Um, it makes me reminds me. It's just I've lived a lot. It's something I'm working through in therapy, but just I've always seen a lot of things as like black and white and like all in or all out. Um, I've always taken things too seriously as kind of like sorry, just really kind of like really like intensely. That's not even a word. But and then so I'm just kind of never. I've tried different things, but again, because I feel again lit up by those different things, and knowing that I'm limited in time and energy, it makes me kind of also feel stuck in choosing what to do.
would it be fair to say, calling back to those limitations of time and energy, we have a very short, focused amount of time here. I repeated all of the things that you presented, and there's lot more than will fit in this container. So
Yes.
if we were to choose one thread to pull on, what would you choose?
Um, could you specify like that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the career stagnation,
Okay, the first thing.
the
Yeah, yeah.
that's the
I
one.
mean, the career stagnation just kind of honestly, yeah. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Well, and I heard you say you kind of feel stuck as well.
Yeah, yeah. So, sorry.
And no, you're fine. As Maddox was saying, what have you done to explore the things that light you up?
I mean, I have a lot of hobbies,
Uh,
and but hobbies are also not a career. The thing is that, like, long story short, until I got married to my wonderful husband Kyle, um, I was really stuck in the having to work in the field that I studied in due to my visa requirements. I had to work in advertising, I had to work in design. Um, and it's a field that I like um, a lot. And I feel that I found a way to kind of synthesize a lot of the things that I like from graphic design, writing, strategy, communications, and people. Um, but at the moment, but at the moment, I just don't feel like it's something that really fulfills me.
what what is it that you liked about graphic design and advertising?
I just really like that it's a form of expression and art that has a strategy. It's something that it's has more of a path to take rather than creating art, but I've also kind of realized lately that art and design can be different too.
Mhm.
Um, and I like interacting with people. I like delivering a message. I like kind of crafting a concept and developing the concept with people. But in currently, I think that a lot of what graphic design has become just like creating very static, um, just really fitting a mold, and it's really not something that fulfills me at the moment. Not just doesn't really fill my cup anymore.
Yeah. What would fill your cup?
I don't know. I don't know because it's like on one hand, I think that I don't know, kind of on one hand, I think that maybe like your career, people say that like your career should not be your everything and like focus that energy and that fulfillment from your side activities. But on the other hand, I just don't want to look back 40 years from now. I am very intense of a person. I'm a Scorpio, okay? I 40 years from now and be like, what did I do? I could have done something else. And maybe that something else can still be design, but can be something else that incorporates design. I don't know.
Uh, I like the way that you bring up that looking back 40 years from now. So you're in a position where you can think about what it's going to be like to be that person that you want to be. So that person who is in 2065, um, what would you do to make her proud? How are you going to take care of her?
Wow. Um, Give me 1 second. I just, I don't know, not to unpack my life story, but since I was little, I've always kind of always needed to know what my purpose in life was, and I needed to like be the best and succeed and um, always have it all figured out and do a change and everything. But also looking back at 28-year-old Sabrina now, looking back at 10-year-old Sabrina, 15-year-old Sabrina, 20-year-old Sabrina, who also was feeling those same feelings. Um, I look back and I mean, I'm proud of her for all the things that she's achieved and accomplished, but also wished she was more in the moment and not as much in her head.
Mhm.
Hello, fellow Scorpio.
Yeah. Oh my god, my chart is just water signs all aboard. It's just uh so I am looking back to Sabrina from those years. I just wish she just was out of her head that so kind of in a way if I think about Sabrina 2065 looking at Sabrina 2025 maybe the kind of um, same kind of outlook would be there of just I would just want you to be happy and I want you to get out of your head. I think that my biggest obstacle towards kind of getting where I want to be is just kind of this is my head is being in my head,
Mhm.
and kind of waiting for the right moment when the right moment is now or
Mhm.
Yes, I can speak to that. I spent half of my life waiting for that big, fabulous thing that was right around the next corner till I realized one day that there was nothing right around that next corner. That if I, it was right here, right now. And I had been perpetually living in the future, thinking something great was going to come right around the next corner. And therefore, I wasn't in the moment. And in the moment is where great is created.
Hmm.
So, my question would be, what is it that takes you out of your head? What is it that what is it that you've discovered in life, anything and everything that takes you out of your head and brings you into your body, your physical body, in the moment where you're very present?
I think there's a couple of things that come to mind at first. I think that whenever I'm doing, first of all, I think like whenever I'm doing kind of, I a lot of things in community or other people, like purposeful community has always been something that keeps me in the moment. So like creative mornings,
Mhm.
um, kind of planning those activities and kind of saying hi to everybody and kind of that's what I'm looking forward every month is just kind of be in that space, have that 2 hours of my life just be that and that's own little island. So always, so yeah, kind of purposeful, like goal oriented community, not goal and like having to achieve, but like more of a shared experience, reminding us the capacity of like what we can do together.
Mhm.
And the other thing that comes to my mind is that I go to the movie theater a lot. Um, it's my form of self care. I have the AMC A list subscription, so I go at least twice a week. And it's mainly I go because besides be like a movie, it's just like, again, it's another space that for 2 hours I disconnect. I don't look at my phone. There's no email, there's no messages. It's just me and the screen. And then I also love taking people to the movie theater to also do that. So I would say that those are the two big things that come to my mind. Is kind of like doing something together, specifically like art wise, because I really like art stuff, artistic, creative stuff. And then second
Mhm.
of all, just movies and kind of sharing a common thing, which I guess then it's an extension of that.
I'm getting a little bit of intuitive hit. May I have permission to share it?
Sure.
I think that, well, the intuition is telling me, not I think, the intuition is telling me that you have kind of lost connection with the little Sabrina that lives inside of you.
Yeah.
You know, children know exactly what they want in the moment because they're so present. They know exactly what they want. And my intuition is telling me that you have lost connection with the little girl that lives inside of you, and she's the one that gives the direction. She's the one that knows exactly what would light you up. So a good question would be, we all had something when we were little kids that when somebody said, "Well, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And we always had an answer. We knew exactly what we wanted to be when we grew up. I wanted to be a teacher. Now, when I got to the point where I could have made that decision, that was way too much academic for me, and I canned that idea. And then all these years later, I come back around, and what I do now, teaching is a big part of it. It's not in school. I'm not a teacher in a school. I'm not teaching an academic curriculum. But am I teaching? I'm teaching something that I believe in and love way more than what I would have taught if I had become a legitimate licensed teacher. What is it that little Sabrina wanted to do when she was a little girl? What was that big, when I grow up, I'm gonna?
I mean, there was a lot of stages. The first one I do remember is wanting to be an astronaut. Um, I thought space was really cool. I still think space is really cool. Um, then I remember the next one was wanting to be a fashion designer because I really loved watching Project Runway with my dad. Um,
Oh.
No, like we literally since like season one, Heidi Klum, Tim Gunn. It was like we watched every single season together, and I mean we watched a lot of other reality competition shows. So for a while, I wanted to be a fashion designer. I even got like a sewing, like a Bratz sewing machine. But then I kind of like didn't want to do it anymore. Then I remember I wanted to be a Broadway singer because I was really into Glee. Um, and then I wanted to be a movie director. So it's always kind of shifted here and there. But I would just say the first one was astronaut.
Do you think, I mean, here I am years later and I'm teaching. Do
Mhm.
you, on an unofficial level, but still it's I'm teaching. Do you think any of that is worth revisiting? Even
I
if it
mean,
was just breadcrumbs that might lead you to something that's just a slightly tweaked offshoot of that?
I mean, I don't think I want to be an astronaut, honestly. Like, I mean, I like the parts, the vibe of it, I guess, but I don't think that's a. I mean, I never really was into science. Um, Maybe there's a way to synthesize that. I'm not sure. Um, I think like the common kind of thread that I see through all those careers is kind of like just creation and creativity and art.
Mhm.
Um,
That would have been my next question is to seek out and look at for familiar things that show up. It's never just exactly what it is we want to do. It is all the peripheral things that go around it as well.
and I think another kind of common thread I see even with the astronaut stuff is that like I don't know if you guys do like the whole Enneagram thing. Um,
Familiar.
We're familiar.
yeah, I'm a four. Um, but in which it means kind of like I'm very like I'm just creative, individualist, uh, always wanting to kind of like share my voice, share my perspective, and I think that in all of those careers there is a certain element of kind of like sharing something and with the world, sharing something different, something that stands out, kind of sharing my unique point of view, creating and discovering. And yeah, it's pretty much also another thing I see in common.
Yeah. Well, and as a four, I know that you would value authenticity and self-expression.
Yes, I think that those are probably like, whenever I think about like, I've been doing a lot of those other things, I've been thinking about like, what are like my core beliefs? And I think that those two have always been a thing that always two of the two biggest tenets of my life, that authenticity, self-expression, kindness.
Mhm.
I think that those are kind of been like really big for me.
Yeah.
You know what? Sabrina, I'm going to suggest that you do a little bit of journaling.
Oh, yeah, I
It,
need to go back to it. I have so many journals. Oh my god, I collect all these
well,
notebooks. And
but
like I'm gonna
I'm
like
going to suggest a particular exercise,
this.
though, if you're open to it,
Okay.
and that would be to sit down with all the things that you were
Mhm,
drawn to, the fashion design, the astronaut, all those things, and all the things that you have done,
mhm,
and make two columns. One
mhm,
column is all the things that I really liked about those things,
mhm,
and the other column is all the things that I disliked about those things.
mhm. Okay.
Because as you begin to explore new things, then you'll have a basis, like almost like a litmus paper that you can say, hey, well, I'm thinking about, becoming a professional piano player. I'm just pulling that out of my butt. But and you sit down and you look at that list. Does it have very many of the things that you really loved about all these other things? And does it have very many of the things that you really hated? I can't. I've done a million things. I had a 40-year career as a hairdresser, but I had side hustles through that whole time. And I look back now and realize that everything that I loved and did well at had high touch with people. And the things that I didn't do so well at and didn't really end up flourishing, they didn't have high touch with people.
Mm.
And just those, if you can start to formulate like the things that really worked and the things that don't work, it's going to give you some clues as you move forward and begin to explore and experiment. It's going to give you a grounding that won't make it feel like you'll be able to eliminate some things right off the bat. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. It kind of gives you like a filter.
Mhm.
Yes.
Since you got both of us, I'd like to offer yet another journal prompt that'll be ongoing.
Yeah. And I have my notebook ready.
Okay. I also happen to know that you have excellent artistic ability. You handed us your business cards, so
Very proud of
we
them.
yeah we know that you've definitely have a gift.
Thank you.
We mentioned the 68-year-old Sabrina. Um, I want you to, moving forward, think about how it is that you're going to meet her. What gifts are you going to give to her? How are you going to make it so that the 68-year-old Sabrina is going to be fulfilled, taken care of, happy, whole?
Finally gonna start this notebook. It's been on my desk for a while. So
Sabrina, I think that you had really hit the nail on the head early on in this conversation when you called out that you spend a lot of time in your head. I think that you are trying to, with thoughts, figure out what it is that you want to do and will light you up. And that's not where that's going to happen. It's going to happen down here. It's going to be, you're going to have to feel your way. You're trying to think your way into the right place. And I believe you're going to have to feel your way into the right place. Does that make sense?
totally makes sense. I read a book back in 2021 called Everything is Figure Outable. Um, I need to go back to it, but so a chapter that really stuck to me that I've been thinking about lately is about like thinking with your gut
Mhm.
and how
Mhm.
like this whole thing about like how like your stomach actually has like a lot of neurons and how your brain and your stomach are connected and stuff like that and how like um sometimes when you never need to make a decision of what direction you want to go, you kind of like need to put yourself in a space in which like kind of like a mindfulness kind of activity
Mhm.
in which you kind of just like try to feel and find like the answer there and what kind of like your gut is telling you to do, what direction is telling you, because often the times it's like that's like a clear direction. Like your brain likes to complicate things and think about the different paths and different kind of roads and the what would go right, what could go wrong, but kind of like your gut is more of that direct primal direction, I guess.
It's connected to the source of all that
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah.
another thing that I do remember from that book is kind of like rethinking fear about fear, which is another kind of an emotion that kind of has kept me in my head. Um, about how in the book, this everything is figureoutable talks about like sometimes fear is a good thing, and sometimes our brain um, kind of misrepresents fear when it's actually something that we want to do and something that actually excites us,
Mhm.
and that it's also connected to the whole gut thing. So I'm gonna brush up on that because it's been a while. It just transported me to that.
Have you ever gotten some news or you read something or somebody told you something that you all of a sudden just got this knot in the pit of your stomach?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
That's it right there.
Mhm.
You know, that's the body communicating with you that something's up, a shift needs to happen, something needs to change. I think that if you can choose meditation, you can choose
Mhm.
yoga, there's so many different things that are mindfulness and present moment activities that you can do. I find that when I started painting about 3 months ago, and I'd painted before and didn't experience this the first time,
Mhm.
but it takes it takes me out of my head.
Mhm.
I don't think about work. I don't think about relationships. I don't think about anything other than just me, the paint, and the canvas,
Mhm.
brushes. It is so like gets me down here for sure. It's
Mhm.
amazing. And it's restorative as we heard today in
Mhm.
our talk. It's restorative. I also think you would benefit from doing some exploration into inner child work.
Mhm.
And you could probably just ask AI, ChatGPT, to recommend the best book for inner child work that has exercises and things that you can do to. I like to think of, you know, my the little boy that lives in me. I nicknamed him Little Man. And I talked to him, hey, little man, and I talked to him like that. And I like to think of it as I imagine a 7 year old, the way I looked at age 7, and I address him just like he's a little boy right next to me. And I realize that it's my responsibility to take care of him just like he's a real little 7 year old, like my own child, that he never ages. He will always be 7. He will never change. He's always living inside of me and will be there to my last breath.
Mhm.
And the better relationship you can have with that small
Mhm.
child, it's a form of what we talk about all the time in community. It's a form of collaboration.
Mhm. That's actually really good.
And it's very, very powerful. And it can be really, really fun.
Oh
It,
yeah.
I mean, if you've neglected your inner child, they may be pissed. You may have to go through a period of forgiveness and some hard conversations. But it's a beautiful place on the other side of that when you have this ongoing conversation and this nurture thing going on.
And I think
Yeah.
it's really, really interesting that you said that you like named your inner child. I do have a name for the voice in my head that makes me overthink and like is really mean to me. Her name is Brenda. So whenever I start being overly critical about myself, I'm like, Brenda, shut up. You don't know anything. But I never really thought about that part of looking at your inner child, naming your inner child. The first thing that it brought to my mind is like um what you said about like just talking to your inner child and holding, like holding them and like, you know, is that I it brought me back to like a couple months ago when I was going through like my archive of videos. I used to make YouTube videos back in high school. It was
Mm.
so fun. It was so fun. It was about books. Um and I guess that was another thing that really fulfilled me. And it's something that I also have been wanting to go back. It's in just some kind of content creation, but not
There,
like in the influencer way, just like I don't know, I like to talk. I like to
there's something for
yeah.
your list of
Mm.
what you loved
That
about it
yeah.
and what you didn't love about it.
That was another thing on the list of things I want to do. Like at this point, I just want to like start put up everything in a mason jar and pick it out. But anyway, I was looking at my archive of YouTube videos of me, 18-year-old me, and she made like I made a video about like where am I in my life and what do I want to do um and like all this stuff, and I just started like crying because it's like I want to make her proud. I'm so proud of her and I want to take care of her and I want to make her proud too. So kind of like I think yes about my inner like 6-year old, but I also am thinking about like 18-year-old of me who was about to move to the United States because I moved last like 2 weeks ago marked 10 years of me moving from Honduras to the US for school. So that's what you talking about your little man kind of made me think about.
Well, an inner child is usually allow the age to come to you intuitively. You'll know. They just show up. Mine shows up consistently as a 7-year old, but if yours shows up as an 18-year old, there's no wrong answer here. You got to work with what's
Mhm.
present.
Yeah, I think that's what really, like, the image is very strong of her, like the 18-year-old me.
I don't want to derail the momentum that we have too much, but I would like to recall uh, back what our original intent was.
Yes, of
Uh,
course.
well,
I'm not the queen of tangents, so.
it's okay. So I know that we were dealing with a general sense of just being in a place that's unpleasant. What you're doing to fill your days is not lighting you up. Are we heading in a direction where you have some ideas for things that will make it so that changes?
I think yes. I think that I feel like with the prompts, the journal prompts, and kind of like thinking about bringing this, basically voicing it out is also very important, I guess. Um, has given me more direction in the sense of like exploration and kind of thinking intuitively.
Mhm. One of the things that is a danger is that we've laid out some things that can be kind of big and ongoing. What are you going to do to have manageable bite-sized chunks?
Well, I like a good to do list. Um, I know that I know like on like ChatGPT, you can be like, ask them to be like, hey, what is like a good, like kind of like road, like road map, like kind of going there. Um, what else? Journaling. I need to go back to that. Um, I think that a lot of it will be discovered through journaling, but also making sure that time for journaling is there. So kind of like put it on like an alarm or like put it in my calendar of like these 30 minutes, like maybe because I was actually thinking about it 2 days ago actually because I at work we had to do a lunch break and a mandatory lunch break, and I don't want to do it in the office, so maybe in the lunch break I can put a timer, 30 minutes, write whatever, write prompts, but also kind of just freestyle too.
So, Sabrina, when you write in your journal, are you writing your thoughts or are you writing your feelings?
Both.
Okay. And there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer here either, but because you are so heady,
Mhm.
you may want to lean more into pouring your feelings into that journal because that's
Mhm.
feelings are our internal GPS. You got that nav on the dash of your car. The nav is not up here. Our human nav is not up here. It's down here.
Yeah,
So
maybe as a part of the lists that you love so much,
Mhm.
maybe you could do a final check in your journal entry asking, well, how do I feel about this?
Maybe the compass was never in my head, but it was in my heart or my gut.
Lovely.
And that's something I've been wanting to do is really just go back to writing. Um, Something also that I feel like my gut has been like whenever I think about it, I do feel it in my belly
Hmm.
about writing, especially now that's been like the 10-year mark of me moving to the States, and so much has happened and so much has changed, and it's something that I've been wanting to revisit and write about. And like I've had my journals and my YouTube videos back then too, and kind of like put it all together. Yeah.
I didn't necessarily think you would that we would wrap this session with you knowing what you wanted to do with your life.
Yeah,
I knew that that was the ultimate goal, but I
yeah,
thought we were going to have to break it down and look at some basic foundational, work that has to, we have to do our work and you have work to do.
I do.
Um,
And that work can be really, really beautiful.
Hmm.
yeah, it can.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, no, like going back to what you said, Maddox, about like, I mean, I think that my problem is like you said, what I have to do with my life. I've looked at it like a marriage question, um, and like not to go all over like my past, but I mean, which has to do with it, but just to, and I think maybe it could have been just something I should have brought up in the beginning, but like, long story short, Spark Notes version of my life. My mom had a very complicated pregnancy with me. Her water broke at 3 months, basically a miracle baby. Not bragging, but because of the whole miracle baby thing, grew up with everybody telling me, you have a big purpose, God has big plans for you, you're gonna do big things, and they mean it well, all that stuff. But that kind of like was the theme of my entire life, of like since I was 6 years old, just
That's a lot of pressure
basically,
for a 6-year-old.
yeah. I've basically, I mean, again, since I was six, I can remember as early as 6 years old, just like literally having like a lot of anxiety and breaking down because of this big question: what should I do with my life? And
Hmm.
that has been like the reoccurring. I can tell you, like, again, 6, 8, 12, 14, say 17. There's always been those years in which that one kind of has like broken me down a little bit. So it's just, I feel like I'm in another cycle of like, what should I do with my life?
There,
And seeing
there's
it
a
again. Yeah, sorry.
there's a really, really good conversation in there for you and the inner child.
Yeah.
Like a two-way conversation where
Hmm.
you know, be in your body and talk to her, switch and be in her body and talk to you, go back and forth, and you'll be amazed at what will come out. But, you know, that was a lot of pressure to put on a 6-year-old. And then it got continued to be put on there and put on there. And at 6 years old, she didn't have the wherewithal to say, "Don't put all that pressure on me. That's not,
Yeah.
I don't need that."
Just wanted to watch Barney.
Yeah.
And I never, and like looking back, I really didn't really let myself because of that anxiety. It's just like, of like wanting to figure out my purpose and needed to know it now and make everyone proud. Because there's also kind of like another pressure of like being able to like have made it, like coming from like I look from like a developing country and like getting into college here and like being able to get a job and stay here, kind of like there's like an expectation of like make us proud. um and that kind of also makes a reason why I feel like I'm in my head a lot, and it's something that I think that as I go into these conversations with 18-year-old Sabrina, it's a good kind of like a good thing to explore.
The more we chase something, the more elusive it usually becomes. I just wonder, if you could speak to that child and let go of all that pressure to perform and to find your purpose and step back and practice mindfulness and let it emerge in its own time, because
Hmm.
everything happens in its own time. If you
Hmm.
were meant to know your purpose, you would know it.
Hmm.
There's a reason you don't know it yet.
Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to be queen of the world.
There you go.
Well, with that, um, it sounds like you have some definite plans for how you'd like to move forward. Could you uh, share a summary of what you plan to do next?
I think that starting out with journaling would be a good idea. um, Both a general just journaling, like a little bit of like my day, but also journaling with the inner child kind of prompts and what I'm and also the whole what I'm feeling prompts. Um, I think that again thinking more intuitively and practicing mindfulness will be good. And from that kind of exploring little by little how I mean the main thing okay fine like I want to write again like I said like about like the whole journey here. I always say I'm gonna write a TV show, but because I also lived in a frat house um, for grad school, that's a whole other story. But I always said I wanted to write a TV show about it, but I think maybe from the journaling, from the talking to the inner child, kind of then make a plan into kind of put that project into action of like um, kind of like synthesizing and looking back to like the 10 years of me being here because it's just something like a story I always wanted to share and taking it from there and kind of like maybe finding other people to write with and to kind of like explore with because I just don't want it to just be me.
Well, we certainly know some talented writers.
I just
No,
maybe I think like again like journaling and will be is a good start. So
I'm listening to you talk, Sabrina, and I can see where you and I have maybe several things in common, but I'm hearing that you are spreading yourself a little bit thin, and I have a tendency to do that myself. So you may want to look at all those things that you just listed and narrow it down
yeah,
because that spreading ourselves too thin takes us out of the present moment, puts us back up in our head, and takes us out
yeah,
of our body and our heart. And it can be counterintuitive and counterproductive to, the plan that you've laid out for yourself.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's another good point. I tend myself to get myself very over involved because I just like being part of things and saying yes and doing everything. But also, again, I can't do it all.
yeah. Well, that sounds like a topic for another session.
I would love, before we wrap, I would just love to ask, how are you feeling right now? If you drop down out of your head and into your body and feel where you are right now, how are you feeling right now?
I don't know if this is a feeling, but I like the first word is clear, like clear, the word clear, like clear headed, more clear headed, um, kind of more like leveled. I don't know if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, a burden shared is a burden lightened.
Yeah,
So,
I
of
think that
course.
again, just getting it out is just, and not just stuck here, it's just has been relieving.
Well, and I would think like as soon as we get off this call would be probably the prime time to do some journaling because it's very up for you and very fresh right now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas 8 hours from now, it partially may be gone already.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So, with that said, how would you like to draw this session to a close?
Um, I'm not sure.
That's okay. Is there any particular way that you usually part with friends?
um, I just say like goodbye. I hug them. Um, call me, text me when you get home.
Well,
Um,
I want to acknowledge you for, just bringing courage and bravery into today, being openness and honesty. You've shared a lot of deeply personal things with us and with our audience, and I want to you to hear that we see you and we hear you, and we're grateful for your sharing.
No, thank you. I really appreciate you guys, kind of making it a safe space for me, kind of very, guiding me and holding my hand through this process.
Thank
Well,
you so much.
thank you.